So I'm going to free associate a little bit at the beginning of this. Um, Conundrum. I heard today on a discussion, we need to empower the people. We need to allow them to speak out, to share their views, to participate in a democracy. And I heard the other day, most people in our society are more afraid of public speaking than death, than dying. So it's a conundrum. A long time ago, I saw on television, I think in Britain, was a documentary about a tribe in East Africa, and they weren't the Maasai. They were magnificent-looking people, but they weren't the Maasai. I do know that, but they were talking about. It was a war council, I think, and they were talking about going to raiding another tribe who had been stolen some of their cattle. I think that was the context. Very Iliad. And it was this conference was conducted in a sort of a field between two copses of trees. I remember with quite high grass. So the film shot, and all you saw was this high bush type grass. And then you heard this noise, and suddenly a man stood up with a gourd, tall, elegant chap, and he started talking in a language I don't know what he was saying. He was talking in this language, and he walked up and down talking for quite some time. And of course, the people making the narration of the TV show was sort of babbling along while he was speaking. And then he stopped and he passed the gourd to another equally elegant chap who stood up and started talking. And they talked very much in the same tone, and they walked up and down as if they were improvising. And I thought several things looking at it. I thought, well, boy, that's straight out of the theater. But it's also incredibly democratic. And we don't have that context. We don't do that. We listen to proxies who speak for us. We elect people who we are saturated with seeing these people. We're exposed to them on television uttering something, often really badly. I mean, sorry, the two current candidates for president are terrible speakers, both of them. And then every now and then you'll get somebody on who actually stitches words together well, but usually speaks in cliches. So I guess my issue is that how can you have what I would call a democracy, which is about discussion, persuasion, speaking your heart, stating your own point of view, if you're incapable of stating your own point of view? And that's okay, and so that some hack psychologist can say that people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. Ha, 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 ha. And we're all supposed to sit there and go, yeah, I'm so terrified of public speaking. Think about what that means. You're terrified of public speaking. Then you're not living in a democracy. If you don't have the gumption to stand up and to think, as these chaps were in the bush, they were getting up and they were thinking. They didn't have speeches. They didn't have a teleprompter. It wasn't trotted out before them. And they were given the time to get up and to think and to speak their minds. In what context does that happen? In my civilization. We go and we hear lectures in university. We go to hear speeches. We go to concerts to hear somebody else. We go to the theater to sit there and hear somebody else who all have scripts. What we don't have, or what we've lost, is a habit of expressing ourselves. And if we don't have that habit and that skill, and it's a skill, it's a practice, and it requires that the person speaking has lived through something in their lives that gives them the courage to do so. That's what they say. They're afraid of public speaking. Think about what that means. I'm afraid to address any more than people at the dinner table. And even they were afraid. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about religion at the dinner table. No. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. So I would ask you, what kind of a citizen do you have who does not feel comfortable, men or women, children or ancients, getting up and speaking their minds? Not reading somebody else's speech. What do people do on Facebook? They post what somebody else has said. Again, abdicating the responsibility of simply trying to express themselves. And I can tell you, because I do a lot of this, that in the act of trying to express yourself, you have a tendency to explore yourself. You don't read somebody else and go, oh, I vaguely agree with that, or I passionately agree with that. It's coming from you. It's not coming from and so many writers today are writing to trigger exactly that in you. Speech makers, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, etc. They're all quite cunningly, quite calculatedly looking for the thing that will make you go, oh, yes. And I would suggest that we would all do ourselves a great favor if we were to think more deeply. It doesn't mean you need to read a lot of books. There's no special education. I have no special education. I have a vocation in the theater, which means that I'm used to talking in front of large numbers of people. And if I wasn't used to it, I would not be in the theater. If I didn't like it, if I didn't feel comfortable doing that, I would not be in the theater. But until the citizenry develop that skill, that courage, that confidence, you don't have a democracy. You have something really quite dangerous, which is what we run into. We run into a society that brags, the Western world brags about its democracy and its freedom. And in fact, they are so totally gullible that they fall for seriously idiots. I mean, not just here. Look at Britain. My God. And I think it's, you say, well, I can't say that. Keir Starmer can say that. What he's saying is rubbish, but I can't say anything, can I? Because I haven't practiced. I haven't sought, I haven't researched, I haven't investigated, I haven't dug deep into what I really think. And it's a process, I'll sit there and I hear something in the news and I go, let me process that. What do I really think about that? It's like Douglas Murray's giving some Zenk Urger, I think is his name, some hard time. And Douglas Murray's a very articulate idiot, but articulate. And he's going on about this thing and he says, why are you only upset? Why are you only protesting because it's Israel? And I'm sitting there and I'm going, I'm not protesting because it's Israel. I'm protesting is because it is America where I vote and pay taxes, or Britain where I voted and paid taxes, both places, who are supporting something that I disagree with. I could have an effect. They are speaking for me. They are my proxy. That's the difference. What goes on in China, I have no effect over. I have no control over. I have no doubt I would hate what the Chinese are doing to the Uyghurs, but I'm not Chinese. I live here, and that's an interesting place to go. Instead of going sort of blanket disapproval, right? Because somewhere far away, and so Douglas Murray's trying to point out that we're only angry because it's the Jews who are involved in this. Sorry, man, that's trash. That's deep, deep trash. And I hope Zank said that to you. I couldn't watch the rest of it. It's just intolerable. Anyway, that's the conundrum. That's the improv.